Hello, and welcome back to another video. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley Sage sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. Our world has become so focusing on everything that's going on outside of oneself, rather than focusing on what's inside. Even Jesus preached about the body being the church, the temple. Because we are, as I've said before, our bodies are a temple for our spirit, having a temporary human experience. I've been inspired to talk about this for a couple of reasons. The first one I want to talk about is that I literally just saw this video of this couple who were trying to steal a chain off of some kid's neck while that kid was laying face down on the sidewalk being arrested. Like, what has this world come to that two people see somebody on the sidewalk being arrested and their thought is, oh, I should steal his stuff. I should steal his jewelry. And that's because we have all become so consumed with what everybody else thinks about us and what we look like on the outside, rather than what we look like on the inside. That's why racism has had a comeback. And I don't mean topically. And that's because we aren't encouraged to focus on the content of our character. We are encouraged to focus on what's going on outside of ourselves and what the world can do for us. Things like the Met Gala just happened. And I don't know if this is true, because I don't pay attention to this stuff. But apparently everybody was freaking out about AOC's dress that said something about tax the rich. She is the rich. But here's the thing. Talking about people's clothing, it's literally become a pastime. There are whole cities full of people who, when it comes time for an award show, don't care about the awards. They care about, what's your dress? Who was your dress made by today? Who were your shoes by? And this happens multiple times a year. People make whole professions out of dressing celebrities for award shows. It was funny, I just got back into the band Extreme recently, and one of their albums is called Porno Graffiti. And if you listen to them talk about why they called it that, it's because it's a commentary on the fact that the entire world was consumed and still is consumed with using sex to sell things. And we have just gone down this spiral of being more and more and more consumed with what's materially going on outside of ourselves, rather than being in any way worried about what actually matters. Health, happiness, peace and harmony. And it's funny because in one of their songs, in one of my favorite extreme songs, the lyrics are literally, "Make love, not war," is so absurd to me. We can't afford to say these words lightly. And it's true. It's a commentary. It was like because, you've got to understand this song was written in the 90s. But it blows my mind how much of a foreshadowing it is to where it was, to where we are now, that we have all of this toxic positivity where everybody's so worried about what other people are going to think about them, rather than worried about anything that actually matters, like anyone's actual health and well-being. There are millions of people all around the world glued to their phones because they think other people actually care what they have to say, and they are so worried about what other people think of them that they will puppet and parrot anything that is the new cool thing to say, whether it actually matters, makes sense, or is good for anyone or not. There's a reason why there are so many people who talk about there being a spiritual war going on right now. And if we don't work harder to wake up and recognize that there are more important things than what car you have in the driveway, what your house looks like, what the color of someone else's skin is. Start recognizing that the actual content of someone's character, someone's actual health and well-being, getting some perspective. The fact that there are people in America at all that think that they are experiencing suffering or violence, which isn't to say that there aren't people experiencing those things, but in comparison to what? We have lost perspective. We have been forced so far outside of ourselves that we have lost perspective on what suffering actually is. Which is why I like to talk about the fact that suffering is subjective. Suffering is very subjective. Because if you don't know greater pains, the greatest pain you know is the greatest pain you know. But if there is one time where being aware of the outside world is important, it's to give us perspective on where we're actually at and how much worse things can actually be. Because you don't want to be self-absorbed either. It's a balance. But we are balanced in the wrong direction right now. Instead of being conscientious inwards and getting perspective outwards, everyone is self-absorbed inwards, making them radically hyper-focused outwards. And I don't know if I have an answer to what would restore the balance. But what I do know is that spending the time working on one's character rather than watching some fantasy television show while escaping, eating Cheetos, or working on one's video game abilities. Instead of constantly escaping through distraction, the one thing that I can say does start to help is taking the time to work on oneself. Start to heal so that you can start to grow and expand. Take the time to sit down with yourself. Even if it's once a day for 5 minutes. And do something introspective. Maybe if you can find the time, go find someone or some charity that you can work with to show you how much worse life could be. Go listen to, I can't remember her name, and I feel bad about that. But Jordan Peterson, as well as now Prager University, have interviews with the North Korean woman who got out of North Korea. If you want to hear about real suffering, listen to her interview with Jordan Peterson. Kids in hospitals eating rats. And then those rats, the rest of the rats, not those rats, kids in hospitals eating rats because they're starving. And then those kids dying because they ate the rats, and then the rest of the rats eating the kids. As she says, those who are oppressed don't actually know they're oppressed. So we need to snap out of this wackadoodle self-absorption thing that's going on right now. Because it's happening in the most superficial ways. And is not happening in any sort of healthy, introspective way. And that's what I try to make most of my content about, both here and on Patreon. How you can start. Whether it's through meditation or journaling, or just good old-fashioned sitting and thinking, which is really all the meditation is in the beginning. Getting introspective on yourself rather than using the majority of any free time you have to escape. So yeah. We can do better. We can do better. And we need to stop feeding into all of the hyper-material craziness that's going on. Everything you do, every click on the internet, Every song you listen to or download, every television show you watch is a vote for or against something. We need to start using our vote to improve our home and the state of it, both physically and energetically. Thank you guys for listening. May the energy you serve you well. And let's keep making our way through. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.